Sweet. All right. EU. So we obviously had that buy last night. Obviously there was a lot of talk about it in the group. But basically I'll just go over the outlook and sort of talk about that a little bit. But obviously bullish, price has had a very, very, very deep retracement. It's now induced more or less the decisional pullback that led to our 4-hour break. So really, really strong inducement last night. So really right now, obviously two things that could happen. Price could start stepping its way up, take out the highs. It's now done a very deep retracement inside of that leg. Obviously, other option is that we do have, obviously price right now is very, very bearish. Very bearish. So yes, we've come down and taken a big low. We're at the bottom of a bullish, sorry, at the bottom of a bearish leg. Can expect for price to obviously, again, same sort of thing, step its way back up. But we don't really have any confirmations yet that price is going to do that. We're still breaking to the downside with this as our sort of like part of our internal 15. So really on EU at the moment, I've got a couple of different options on what I'm looking for. Given that I'm working inside of this 15-minute bearish leg right now, obviously we're right at the bottom. We've had a little internal break. So two things I'm looking for. One is for price to either step up, take this high, then I'll be looking to sell down into here to then buy back up, to then get to here to then sell back down. That's first option. Obviously, other option is price comes down here. I'm then breaking, coming to demand before getting to supply. So then I'll look for a buy out of here or the inducement of here to then buy up from there. So that's another option of what we can look at. Or the other option obviously is we just come straight up to here. We don't get a sell after this inducement. We get a sell out of here, respecting there and following with it, make them up and induce. Same scenario, we can just sell from there. So got a fair few different options at EU today. Obviously been CPI later. We may get choppy, slow price action. I won't be looking for a trade at least I need to be in at least the 20, 30 minutes before news just to give the trade at least time to run. We've got a while before obviously news is out. So EU is not in too bad of a spot where it might set up. It is reacting out of this area as well, which is a demand that led to a supply. So if we get this inducement, that's going to be quite clean. We're going to get a 15 inducement into filling more of this IFC. So selling out of there does look quite good and something that I'll be looking for. EU is probably more or less in one of the better spots, surprisingly, today. But with this trade last night, so I know Brad mentioned inside of the group that everyone should have taken a trade, and I just want to second that. Everyone, if you were on the charts last night, and obviously we've got some new people in here. Welcome to the people that I knew, but if you know our strategy, knew our approach, and you were on last night, you should have taken at least one trade in here. Had a couple of different chances. So really, me personally, I go off as soon as price does induce. So that was my inducement there. It was like 0.2 of a pip. It's a really, really small inducement, but my backtesting tells me when that's what I need to follow. So I was going off that as my inducement, 5-minute break, minor inducement at the 5-minute break. And then obviously a 1-minute internal break there. I was in here. Obviously caught a break even after we mitigated the 5-minute point. Then you obviously had Brad's entry, which he'll do a case study on, but not using that as the inducement, using this area as the inducement, and then that as the minor break. Then you had like a 2-leg here, you had a break here. There's like so many different ways you could have got in that spot there as well. So anyone who was on that didn't catch this trade last night, really just reflect on that one and look at it and go, okay, why did I not take at least one trade? Because if you know the way that we trade, you should have taken a trade in there. At least a break even, a full loss, or even if you wanted to do what Brad did and try and find obviously ways to get in because it was in such a good area, then obviously do that as well. But yeah, something for you all to look over. We'll both do a case study on this one as well. So for everyone that is new, have a watch over that because it'll, be really, really good to learn from. AU, we're obviously same thing, bullish and then bearish, starting to step our way back up. AU's moving really, really cleanly on this complex pullback at the moment. Obviously looking for price to come up here or at least feel some more of this imbalance. A little bit tricky in terms of options and what we've got to work with today. So obviously we're mitigating then breaking, mitigating, then breaking. only taking Asia high, so it's not enough for me to sell just from there. So really all I'm looking for is price to come down. Got a 15-minute point here that I look to buy from, or get the inducement of Asia low, fill more of this area, and then buy from there, or we can step down, buy from there. Yeah, that's really all I'm looking for. Price may come down here, may not give an entry. When it does come up and break this high, we can sell from there. I just won't expect it to move that far before CPI. So really just looking for it to retrace and then buy back up. Yeah, pretty simple with AU. I'll let Brad do GU.
Beautiful. GU is probably actually in the worst spot, I would say, out of all pairs. There's only one real approach as of right now. You can view this as an internal break to the downside, which means we've had the 15-minute inducement, very, very minor 5-minute break. You may want to have a look at entering and taking a sell off this. I will look for it. It's not the best point of liquidity to look for a sell. You would more be looking to take a sell out of this point, assuming that we're going to get that retracement, take the highs, then take the lows of the Asian range and continue bullish out of possibly this point, or maybe the inducement and coming to the extreme point down here. So very, very tricky and shitty spot. There's so many different ways to approach this. You can even look at price maybe not even going to come back to this point, so you just continue buy out of here. That is the trickiest option out of all of them, and probably will not even be looking at it myself. Ideally, if in a real world, an ideal world, we have price just step down and give us an entry model out of here, just to continue with that really, really clean movement to the upside. So you've had obviously the 2 breaks on the 15-minute, third break, inducement of the 15-minute to come and grab that point and push up. The only way I will look to sell is if I expect that we could possibly come down to this extreme here, which would mean the take of this. Ideally, I'd actually like to see a bit of a break here, build up even more liquidity, really get those sellers involved, and use that Frankfurt trap to come and take that, then look to sell out of here. Only problem being is you're taking a sell out of the biggest imbalance we've seen in a long time. So it doesn't hold a lot of probability to look for a sell out of there. If anything, I see price moving up at least, and I'm not going to use my Fibonacci tool because it's a joke, but at least 50% up in this range, ideally. But you can definitely see this looks very, very complex pullbacky. So I can expect that basically with that complex pullback, news may just throw this thing to the downside as the impulse. So understanding that may be the case, you may even just see price do this for the next 5 hours and then news take it down, which is what happened last week here, which is why I wasn't even sitting on the charts looking at this point. So they're the different options coming in today. Any questions at all with that? If not, we're good to go. There'll be a case study up for that buy there as well. But like Dylan said, that EU buy yesterday, before the case study goes up for it, go and have a look. You should have all taken a buy. At least all of you have been in the group for, the last couple of months. If you didn't have your alert and didn't wake up to that, get a ladder alert. That's what I would say. Because we all know EU does not give many entries for us for the month. That may be the one.
Yeah, and it's something to remember with it as well. I was saying this to Brad before, like I was up like really late last night, making sure that if there was going to be another entry presenting, I was on for it because GU was in a good spot as well. Like for the past basically all week and sort of end of last week, we've had early nights. Like I've been off the charts at like 10:30, 11, haven't even been bothered to be back home, and normally I'm up to 12 to 1 o'clock. Haven't been off all night basically throughout the start of the week and end of last week to then have price get in a good spot. It's like you have those earlier nights when trades aren't going to set up to be able to make sure that you can be on later when he's going to set up. So when price is in a good spot and we haven't had anything all week, got to make sure you're on the charts, unless you're obviously got to be up for work in like a couple of hours, and that's fair. But yeah, just something to note with it about trading. You sort of just need to allow yourself to be in a space of being able to actually access the opportunity, because sometimes they don't come around very often.
Mm-hmm.
But epic. If no one's got any questions, we'll wrap it up there and go live once we get a bit more movement.
Beautiful.
Cool. Done. Sweet. Well, we'll speak to you all soon.
Awesome.
See you guys.
Catches.